Good
Hey
morning.
Ben, how are you?
I'm
Ahoy
good.
from Austin.
How are you doing? Good?
Good, good, very good.
Well, see,
It's
last
great
time
to be here.
yeah, well, great to be here. Last time we had a chat or a conference, I was from home, and the background was slightly different than the one I have today. Like,
So
look at
you,
me.
so you're saying,
Yeah, well, I'm in Cologne. Could be like sailing my boat, and I'm really happy to interview you today for the Parrot Live audience. Let's do something quickly. Imagine someone who doesn't know what is South by Southwest. How would you pitch it?
for someone who is not familiar with South by Southwest, I think you did a great start there. It is a 9-day celebration of creativity across many different forms, everything from speakers to films to band showcases, comedy, everything in between. It happens in Austin, Texas in March. So you also have that whole spring thing working. And ultimately, we hope to inspire our global audience to come up with new ideas and do better things.
Love it. Tell us a bit more about the building blocks on the program side. Like, what is it made of?
Programming side, or the program side, we have a conference element, which typically happens through the daytime. We'll have 15 tracks that cover everything from civic engagement to culture. This year we have a climate change track because climate change is impacting everybody. We have a transportation track, a design track, and so on and so forth. Within these tracks, we will have keynotes, big name keynotes and featured speakers, and lots of other sessions. And when I say lots, probably about 1,000 total sessions, maybe more than that. We also have a film festival that will have approximately 300 total films, give or take a few. That is everything from documentary shorts to narrative features and everything in between. Very much celebrates independent filmmaking, but also has some, over the last few years, we've had some big Hollywood releases come to South by Southwest. That's neat. And then we have the South by Southwest Music Festival, which is where South by Southwest started more than 30 years ago. That typically has about 1,500 bands from all over the world, covering kind of every variety of pop music, so to speak. And those music showcases happen at night. So again, many different avenues to explore creativity, and I think that's one of the really unique value adds of South by Southwest is that we're not just a conference, we're a festival also, and some of the best connections, networking opportunities, business opportunities that happen at South by Southwest happen when these different segments that often don't come together at events come together. So, you know, a band learning from a startup, a filmmaker learning from a tech innovator, mixing it all together in a very creative city tends to produce some really fun things.
And converging. And tell me how many
Convergence,
speakers?
there you go.
Yeah, how many speakers on the conference side do you normally work with? Bulk number.
We probably will work with 2,000 or 3,000 for the 2022 event. That is ranging from our keynotes, which are in our big rooms, to speakers who are a little more up and coming and may not be ready for a big room yet, and then everything down to mentor sessions where speakers are just counseling a attendee one-on-one. So it's a lot of speakers and it's a lot of content, but I would caution anybody with South by Southwest or any other event. I mean, it's always about quantity, not quality. And if you, I'm sorry, it's always about quality, not
Yeah, I was about to
quantity.
say, you're sure?
Cut the tape there, Ben. It's too early in the morning. Always about quality, not quantity. If you take care of the quality, the quantity will take care of itself. So that's always our number one focus.
What is a great speaker in terms of quality from your point of view?
Great speaker. I want someone who's got a lot of energy, going to bring a lot of energy to the stage. I want someone who thinks differently, who brings a different perspective. If they're in a panel, I want them to challenge other speakers on the panel, but do it respectfully. Mm-hmm. And if they're doing a solo presentation, I want them to, again, bring new perspectives, new ideas, bring solid takeaways that the attendees can bring back to their place of work. Wow, I learned these 3 things from such and such on that day. I think that's what attendees want at conferences, solid takeaways. So again, that energy, that innovation, that focus on creativity, those are 3 of the top things that we're looking for in speakers.
How would you, this audience is full of entrepreneurs. How does an entrepreneur become a great speaker from your point of view? And do you think it's useful for their company to have to speak at events? Tell me your point of view, please.
From my point of view, I think that becoming a great speaker is much like becoming good at anything else in life. You practice, practice, practice. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you feel with it. And the more comfortable you feel with it, the more you can not be worrying about how nervous you are and be worrying about getting a good message across. And I think being able to speak in public, being able to deliver a message, certainly helps you get your message out at events. It also helps you in a number of other things in life. Yes, I think there is tremendous benefit for young startups, young entrepreneurs to speak at events like South by Southwest. It's a great way for them to get their message out to investors, get their message out to media, get their message out to early adopters, and really jumpstart their growth. And we've certainly been lucky enough to see that in a number of different instances at South by Southwest with some of our, quote, breakout startups. And that goes back to Twitter in 2007, when they really had their initial breakout in the tech community by having a large presence at South by Southwest. We've seen that also with Foursquare a couple of years later, Meerkat, which is sadly no longer with us, but kind of paved the way for Periscope and Facebook Live, and a number of other startups. But again, events are fantastic places for startups of all kinds to get their message out. And when I say all kinds, I think that one of the interesting aspects of South by Southwest is, yeah, we've got a lot of tech startups there. But we've also got, new movies, which you can essentially classify as a startup. It's a startup venture. You've got young bands, which are essentially a startup also. So again, there is that kind of through line between these different kinds of entities, projects that we showcase at South by Southwest. They have a lot in common, and they can all get a lot of benefit out of being at events like South by Southwest.
You're promoting super well. There was actually, something after the Foursquare and Meerkat, times, there was definitely a huge attention from the media of what will be the startup breakout at South by Southwest this year, right? Like, journalists and commentators will be looking, okay, who's going to be, which company is going to be the golden ticket of this year edition?
And I would say, Ben, that was a mixed. That is always or has been a mixed blessing since Twitter. We want media attention. We want people to be saying, "What's the big startup coming out of South by Southwest?" But the years when we haven't had a big startup, there's been a little bit of disappointment there. So I think that something like Twitter, it would be great if we could do that every year. I don't think you can. I think that's a once in a decade, maybe once in 2 decades type of thing at an event. All the elements lined up perfectly, and so that's not duplicatable every year. I will say that typically the startups that have done best at South by Southwest in terms of creating giant buzz are startups that help people digest the event itself. So it's very kind of meta there. And with Twitter, it was, you could use Twitter even at its very young stage to better understand the event, what your friends were doing, which sessions they were going to, what parties they were going to, where they were eating breakfast. Same thing with Foursquare, where you could see where your friends had checked in. And same thing with something like Meerkat, where people were broadcasting content from South by Southwest. While Airbnb did not start at South by Southwest, they got a lot of push out of South by Southwest because a lot of the people coming to South by Southwest couldn't find hotel rooms. They were using something like Airbnb in its embryonic young stage to find lodging. So again, my piece of advice to startups that want to get the best leverage out of South by Southwest is, create some kind of app or innovation that better helps people absorb South by Southwest. That doesn't mean that your car parts startup, your startup that is yet another take on Clubhouse, or your startup that is doing something else really cool, can't get a lot of value out of South by Southwest. But again, to really, really accelerate, think of something that event attendees will use, will talk about, will spread to their networks, and media will pick up on also.
Talking about acceleration, tell us a bit about the startup competition that you run. What is it? There's a deadline, actually. Doing a promo for South by right now, because I know you have a deadline coming up, and it's another great way for a startup to get engaged, to get involved in South by Southwest. Can you tell us a bit about the competition? What is it?
Absolutely. We have a thing called South by Southwest Pitch. It is our in-house startup competition. This 2022 will be our 14th year. The application process runs through November, but September 9th is the deadline for the early application. So if you apply by then, you save about $100 on the entry fee, which always saving $100 is a good thing. This is a very, very competitive process. We'll typically get about 1,000 applications from startups from all over the US and all over the world. From that, we have a very rigorous judging process, which picks out the best 50 startups, and those are the 50 finalists. And then those startups pitch on site to an audience of VCs, of media, of industry professionals, as well as attendees. And we come up with winners in 10 different categories, and that is another great way for startups to leverage the South by Southwest platform, create new opportunities, meet investors, meet media, meet early adopters, meet the kind of people who can push their career forward, which is what you're always doing. And I think that the value proposition here is events like South by Southwest that bring people together. You can do 2 months worth of networking in the space of 2 or 3 days if you're strategic about it, and being able to optimize like that is always a good thing.
I mean, time flies. I'm already getting almost to the end of this session. Tell us about the reason why it's so important for you to host South by Southwest as an in-person event. And I remember from our previous conversation that you told us that some of the upside of doing online was, for example, that you didn't have the limitation of space for the keynotes. Like usually when you have keynotes at South by Southwest, people have to queue, and it's like a huge mess for you in terms of logistics and organization. And that was one of the coolest part of doing it online. No queuing, no physical constraints. Tell us more about this, your experience with the 2021 edition and your expectation with coming, back physically.
Yeah, 2021 we did as an entirely online event, and certainly lots of challenges there. It was the first time we've done an entirely online event after 30 years of in-person events. So in-person is our expertise, but we definitely found that there were a lot of upsides to the online. nature of the event. And first and foremost, I think, is what you have mentioned before, that the space limitation of rooms, whether it's a room for a keynote or a room that a band is performing in, or even a theater, those were largely removed. And that in many ways significantly improved the customer experience, because yes, we typically have long lines to get into a keynote by Elon Musk or Barack Obama or someone like that, who were lucky enough to get at South by Southwest. So the online nature of the event in 2021 helped with that. For 2022, we too are jumping into that magic word that you've mentioned a few times, hybrid. I presume your audience has to have a shot of coffee every time someone says that word. But hybrid, we'll have, we'll try to leverage some of the lessons that we learned from the online event in 2021 and have some portion of the event online, but hope to have a very robust and significant portion of the event back to an in real life experience. I will say that on September 2nd, all this is a little bit fluid given where we are with the Delta spike of COVID in Austin, Texas. We're at stage 5 again, and that's scary, but we have confidence that by the spring, things will have calmed down a little, and our audience will be relatively comfortable coming to South by Southwest with various safety precautions.
Thank you. I already have to wrap up this interview. This is way too short. I really enjoy the time we spent talking about the startup success stories of South by. I didn't think about it, planning this interview. I should. Very interesting and valuable content for the founders in the room, and telling entrepreneurs that they can actually go and pursue events. It's a great channel for them to meet people, grow their company. So thank you, Hugh, for coming with us and joining us today early in Austin, and I hope I see you again very soon.
Absolutely, Ben. Thanks for having me on board this pirate ship. It is great to be able to share a little bit of my expertise with your audience. Hope to see everyone in Austin in March 2022. If you have any questions about South by Southwest, if the audience has any questions about South by Southwest, you can always reach me, Hugh@SxSW.com. Look forward to hearing from you.
Badass. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thanks, Ben.